All right, guys, welcome back to Yo Spill. So, I've seen it in the comments for years. Please finish the Accord. Pablo used to make fun of me for not finishing the Accord. Shane used to make fun of me for not finishing the Accord. I've heard it from everybody. So, as you see today, the Accord is here on the left. We are going to be tearing out the built G22. Most of you, probably all of you, don't know that this motor actually came out of my CB7. This is a piston and rod short block. It's 12-to-1 compression. The head has Pro 1s in it, has Brian Crowder springs and retainers. It has Skunk 2 flat face valves. This thing also has a competition twin disc in it, T2, T4, has an all AN fuel setup, has a Euro R intake manifold, Euro R crank pulley, and yeah, it's basically the best of the best that you can build if you're going to build a G22 setup. If you guys don't know what a G22 is, single cam bottom end, dual cam head. You block off a few things, plug up a few things. There you go. You don't need an external feed line like an LS VTEC or a B20 VTEC. But like I said in this video, this motor is coming out. I'm not going to tell you what we're putting in because we're still waiting on it. But once it gets here, we'll do a video and you guys should be able to figure it out pretty quickly. But I'll give you a little backstory on the car here in a minute and then we'll get into pulling the swap. So in the comments below, I would like for you to put down what you think we're going to be putting in the Accord. So for a backstory on the car, I bought this car around 10 years ago. When I first got this car, if I can throw a picture of it in the edit, I'll throw it in there. But this car was a F22B non-VTEC dual cam. It had a Prelude 4th gen transmission in it. It did not have these TE37s. It actually had a set of ITRs. It had stock Accord brakes. This car is fully converted to the CL brakes. It had a full interior with a CL cluster, Momo steering wheel, a super medallion exhaust, and it did not have the full JDM front or the dual rear fogs, which I got a lot of hate when I first did these, but I kind of got known for it. So dual rear fogs, the little mud flaps. I've kept the car as stock-ish as possible over the years, and then I went full retard and cut a big hole in the bumper. And decided I was going to turbo it and put a fully built motor in it. And then life happened and I never finished it. So we're going to change that. But like I said, in tonight's video, we're going to be pulling it out. I want to, of course, paint the engine bay. I want to do the truck bed liner black like I've done on all the other cars. Seal up all the holes in the firewall that are not needed because we don't want fire coming in the car while we're racing it. And the car actually is fully caged. Let me open the door here and I'll show you. But you have Momo steering wheel, CL cluster. It is fully caged. And as you see, it is gutted. Door panels and everything are gone. We will be trying to source them. It still does have a headliner. And there is no shifter. Well, there's a shifter now, but we're going to be pulling all that out as well. So all of the parts that are coming off of this will eventually make its way to the EK. We started looking for transmissions and built heads and stuff for the EK to make it even better. But we want to at least hit the track first, get a baseline number for blacktop H22A with 190 horsepower with a non-LSD transmission stock head on a 75 shot to, you know, show you guys what it actually does. Once we have all that out of the way and race season starts, we will get to throwing in the T2, T4. We will get to throwing on the built head. We might actually do a dyno comparison where we throw the Euro R intake manifold, the ported OEM, and I do have an H2K setup, which I don't think I've ever shown in a video. But we will do some testing because we have the ability with our dyno in-house. Other than that, let's get right into pulling the swap out and the turbo kit off, and a lot of memories of this car. All of my friends, like I said, have always yelled at me to finish it. So we're going to change everything, but we're going to get to finishing it. Hope you guys enjoy. we have the motor out of the car, we have the transmission off, axles, fuel setup. Here is the twin disc. I don't even know if I mentioned that in this video, but I built this thing to make somewhere in the 600 to 700 horsepower range. When I put this motor together, it was 4 or 5 years ago. It has a set of Brian Crowder 92-pound springs in it, titanium retainers, Pro 1 cams. It's a 12.5-to-1 compression piston, and as you see, T2, T4, and a comp twin disc. So I've pulled all the top pieces off here. If you guys have never pulled an H apart before, even though this is a G22, the H head is the same. You just block off 2 oil ports, but these are all 12 millimeters. These are 10 millimeters. You literally pop the valve cover off with all these 10 millimeters right here. As you can see, these have a little rust on them because they've been sitting outside in the weather, which is another reason why I wanted to pull this apart. Hopefully the sleeves, because these motors, when you use an F22 bottom end, it is a steel or a cast iron sleeve. If you guys have ever wondered, H22s and F22s are very heavy. A K series, I think a K20 is only in the low 400 pounds weight class, whereas an H22 is like another 80 pounds heavier. The motors are really stout. They can kind of take the abuse. As you've seen on channels like the Boosted Boys, you can make 700 horsepower with a stock block H, you know, with just some male golds, which are just pistons that are made for the FRM sleeves. But you can make really good power with these motors. Pop this caps off. They are all numbered, so if you ever think you lost your order of your caps, they all have markings on them to tell you where they go. You really can't mess them up unless you put them together in the wrong order and then you mess up the cams. But it's literally a pretty simple process here. I just wanted to, like I said, make sure that all the parts are still good in this motor because it's been setting for a few years now. These are Skunk 2 Pro cams. If you see right there at the end of the cam, there's a little mark, and then right here on the cam it tells you Skunk 2, and it has a number on it. Yep, right there on the cams. And you just pull them out, and you always set the cams up on end like this, and you can see there's, I think it's an S or something like that, or a P. There's something always engraved in the end.
Probably can't see.
Yeah, you probably can't see that in the video, but you see right here how these lifter pads are still in decent condition. Anytime you run an aggressive cam and an aggressive valve spring and retainer in an H22, check for wear on these cam pads. These things will eat themselves alive if you don't put a lot of zinc in the motor. You see right here, we do have ARP head studs in this motor. I'll get all this apart and I'll get back to you guys in a few seconds here, and I'll show you what's on the inside. People all heard about it. So ARP H22 head studs, just like most other Honda head studs, 14 millimeter 12 point. These twin disc flywheel uses the same 5-speed 17 millimeter 12 points as well. But for the clutch itself, if you guys have never seen a twin disc before, it uses a special throwout bearing. And then the reason why they call it a twin disc is because, look, there's 2 discs. Can't really see them in there. This clutch was previously used in a friend of mine's drag car. I got it for a good price, but you can't really go wrong with a twin disc if you're gonna try to make 700 plus horsepower. But new modern technology for clutches, there's people that run stage 4s and stage 5s and that still hold, you know, 600-700 horsepower. But a few more bolts here. Oh, washer actually came with that one. And then we'll try to get this head off easily, even though it probably won't come off that easy, because it's been together for years. Yeah, this is not a clean job.
Almost all of it.
You miss any?
What we got? That's it. That's the one holding it on.
Threads don't feel good on that one, so I'll have to clean them up. All right, moment of silence for a 5-year-old built H22 head. Well, this head's actually for a G22. I'll show you in a second what that entails. And as I assume, there's stuff in the pistons because it's been sitting outside. And there's some oil on the floor. Good old Felpro. Still looks perfect. So, for those of you wondering, this was an all-motor build. It made, I think on pump gas, it made 231. On E, it made 240 something. But like I said, it's been set for a few years since I got rid of my CB7 and I got my Juke. But this block will be in storage. Like I said, this head will go on the EK. That transmission T2, T4 will go on the EK. We'll probably use the head studs. So when you do a G22, these two ports right here, you get them welded up and then you get the head machined. From the factory, it has two holes like this for oil returns. But on this side, because of the single cam block, if you look right here, there is no oil returns. So you have your two over here, and then on H, you have two more right here. So to combat oil leaking right here, because of the head return, you literally just get welded up and get a machine shop to machine it flat, and you have a G22. The only other thing you have to do for a G22, I get questions on this all the time, water pipe. You need an F22 water pipe coming off of the motor, and you need an H22 water pipe going to the head. Other thing, water pump. So this is an F22 water pump, and this is an H22 water pump pulley. You even see it says P13 right there, and that's an F22 water pump. So you physically have to remove this pulley from your H22 water pump and press it onto your F22 water pump. Once you do that, you literally put an H22 timing gear down here. You use your new F22 H22 water pump, manual tensioner, throw it together, and you have a G22. And if you do the welding on the head, it will not leak. If you do the plugs, I've heard people have good and bad luck. If you use JB Weld, I've heard people have good luck, bad luck. But if you're gonna build it, high compression or anything, I definitely suggest welding it up. So, thank you guys for watching the video. At this point, I don't even know how long the video is. I hope you guys are excited for the Accord build. And I'll give you a hint since I asked you to guess what motor we were putting in it earlier. It's a motor from an Accord. I'm not gonna say what year Accord, what generation Accord, or where it comes from origin-wise. But it's a motor from an Accord. It's going in my Accord. And we're gonna make this thing a fun street car again. Gonna go away from the full race car I was going and go back to a fun street car, because at the end of the day, Accords are family cars. They're not really meant to be a full-out drag car. And I've had this thing, like I said, from 10 years now. So we're gonna get it back to a street car. Might have to buy like a carbon hood so we don't have a hole, and might have to get a new bumper and throw all the JDM lights and everything in it. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have subscribed to YoSpilt. If you haven't, do it now. And until the next one, you guys are the greatest. All right, guys, a little extra talk from Yoast Tech Talk H22/G22/F20B. So a little backstory on this motor. So this motor was the original block crank rods out of my turbo CB7. I've had this motor for, I don't know, like seven years, I think. And then I changed to these 12.5-to-1 compression pistons around 4 to 5 years ago. If you notice, every one of them has nice imprinted intake valves, and there's a little imprint of the exhaust valve on all of them. If you've ever had your car on the dyno and want to hear the worst noise and have the scariest time you'll ever have, I used to be uninformed about torquing the crank pulley bolt and or Loctite on the crank pulley bolt. And as you see here, you have perfectly flat-faced Skunk 2 valves. Well, the reason why we have perfectly flat-faced Skunk 2 valves is the timing belt on this thing came off on the dyno. The harmonic balancer actually flew off the motor. If Carlos Tuning is watching this, he can tell you the story. I have never seen everybody in the dyno's room heart drop so fast when they heard the crank pulley hit the ground. And yeah, this head and me have been through a lot. It bent every valve in the motor. I had to get a different head. I had an F20B head on this motor for a while. With a stock F20B head with Type S cams, I believe this motor still made 222 horsepower or something like that, or 227. And then with the built head, of course, we've made more. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that this little carbon right here is literally carbon building up in the impact zone from all 16 valves hitting the pistons. You can see this one I cleaned pretty well. You can actually see the marks. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the Integra and the Accord content. I was gonna make a whole video on this, but I've got a little ahead of myself. And if you guys are watching this far in the video, this is just a bonus clip for you guys. So we have the Sheepy Race turbo manifold sidewinder, the Borg Warner S369. It does have a exhaust down there, and then we have a 2.5 inch wastegate dump that's going to go down under the car as well for the 60mm gate. The rye wire harness is completely on. As you see, the whole front end is off. We pulled the carpet out. We're going to sand down the floor. We're going to bed liner the floor, and then we're also going to do all the same processes to the Accord. But like I said, we are waiting on the motor, and when it gets here, you guys will be the first to know. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a great afternoon.